All right. Hello, Lizzie B here. Thank you for being here at my channel. I'm tired. Oh my God. Okay. We're doing this. F it. All right. So if you're on the internet and you have a pulse, I'm sure you've noticed all the masculine and feminine conversations happening.
The only way you can inspire a man to do more for you is to be softer in your feminine energy.
The only way for a man, a masculine man, a safe man, a loving man to come into your life is if you stop being the man in your life.
Here are signs that you are a feminine man.
This is one big thing you need to avoid if you want to be in your feminine energy in romantic relationships.
The rock bed of a river. Feminine energy is the flow of the river.
And I'm sure you're sick of them, but here's one more. This video is one more, but I promise you I'm smart in like the way that I talk about this. You're gonna love it. And if you don't love it, I'll give you your money back. How about that? That's fair, right? I'm going to talk about masculine and feminine energy in a way that hopefully makes sense to you. I'm going to try and break it down as much as possible. I talk about this a lot on all of my social media, except maybe my Instagram, because I'm still weird about what I'm going to do on Instagram. I'll figure that out. I'm going through some things, but ultimately I talk a lot about this on TikTok and on Threads a little bit, definitely on my Substack. I talk about this quite a bit on my Substack and on my Patreon. If you want to check out more content from me, go to those places as well, because I have a lot of written content. I have a lot of extra little, things that I put on my Patreon. I put my lives up on my Patreon, and my lives are really, really good. If you want to see my lives live, go to my TikToks. In the morning, I'm on there. So anywho, all that said, let's talk about masculine and feminine energy and why it's annoying hearing people talk about it. That's not me. People, that's not me, because I'm not annoying. The reason why it's annoying when people who are not me talk about masculine and feminine energy is because they're getting it wrong. And here's the main thing that they're getting it wrong about. They have a very performative idea of what masculine and feminine energy is. And the performative idea that they have is because they're viewing the world through a purely masculine lens. And this masculine lens tends to make everything performative because masculine energy, or the masculine side of things, is the more performative side. So let's break down what masculine energy is in general. What do you think of when you think of masculinity? Do you think of something being strong? Do you think of tools? Do you think of machines? Do you think of something being big and powerful?
Beware, Autobots! I am about to transform into the most powerful weapon in the universe! Body, wanna feel my body, baby.
If so, this is because you are thinking of masculine energy as tool energy, which is what it is. It is useful. Masculine energy is defined by what it does, not so much what it is.
You are willing to be a gentleman, be a servant, and to be a savage. That is a masculine man.
It represents the tool. It represents the vessel. It represents the servant. If you see me looking to the sides, because I'm checking my teleprompter, it represents the bodyguard, the lawyer, the attack dog. It represents the brawn. It's the fighter. It's the calculator. It's the computer. I can go on and on, but when you think of a container, something that serves a purpose, something that's kind of like a vessel, that's masculine.
That's hot. That's hot.
Masculine energy represents. It is representation, kind of like a bodyguard or a diplomat or a lawyer. It represents representation. It's the sign of representations. It's a symbol. Money energy, or money itself, can be considered masculine because it's a symbol. It's a symbol of value. And money is a tool. So when you think of masculine energy, think of it in terms of money. It's kind of like a social construct, something that everybody came together and decided this is what this is. Another example of that would be letters, the alphabet, for example, maybe even numbers, symbols, anything that's used to measure something. So again, used is the key word here. If it's useful, it's in its masculine energy. That is what masculine energy is. It's about being useful. It's about being in one's tool energy. That's masculinity. Now, the problem, I guess we can say the problem with that, is that men have co-opted this energy into their entire personalities. That is their entire gender as far as they're concerned. They are masculine. They are the masculines. In seeing themselves as the representation of this energy, however, they are defining themselves as tools.
If you really want to be more masculine, you have to push yourself hard. You have to lift heavy weights.
A true man is a leader.
You are willing to lend a hand if someone needs something heavy moved.
Like, being a tool means you're gonna be used.
A man is only loved under the condition that he provides something.
For example, if a person identifies as an ATM, you're gonna have people lined up to do one thing when it comes to you. If you identify as a hammer, you're gonna be used as a hammer. If you identify as a Swiss Army knife, you might be used for multiple purposes, but ultimately you're gonna be used. That's the key word, is used. And your entire identity is going to be based on your usefulness. Hello, me from the future here. One thing that I want to add is that it's important to remember everything that applies to how we see masculinity also applies to how everything is treated. So if people are identifying themselves as tools on the basis of their gender and their masculinity is determined by their toolness, the way that they view the world is in a way where everything becomes a tool as well. This is an ATM. People use ATMs. ATMs do not use people. The human is the human. The ATM is the machine. Machines are there to serve a purpose. Human beings should not be forced to use machines that they don't want to use or don't need to use. Forcing a human being to use a machine that they do not want nor need is backwards. It is counterintuitive to what a tool is supposed to do. A tool is not supposed to be an inconvenience. If anything, a tool is supposed to be a convenience. So if people are being forced to use tools they don't need, this is like the tail wagging the dog. While men are kind of the representation of masculine energy, and in a sense, they're kind of the representation of the representation energy, women are viewed through this lens as tools as well, because they are viewed as tools to men.
Listen, my brother, every man deserves a good woman.
You know how they say that every man needs a good woman?
Every man wishes he had a good woman.
And you'll be happy, actually, and especially if she can cook.
Here's why all women need to cook for their man. All men need a good woman.
How did we get here where there are so many women that don't know how to cook?
So when you're a man and you know you have a woman at home that can make a good cooked meal, that can love on you, that can do all these things.
Every man deserves a good woman.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a productive member of society. However, when we get to the point where we only see people's value in terms of whether they are productive or not, everyone turns into tools. And that's kind of the viewpoint that we're looking at right now as a society, where people are looking at each other like tools. Through the eyes of a tool, everything else is a tool. So keep that in mind if you're looking at this and you're thinking to yourself, well, women get used all the time and women are valued by how useful they are. The question of what do you bring to the table constantly comes up when it comes to women in dating these days. And women have been used for centuries, maybe even millennia, and being given roles. Roles are a big part of this as well. Like when you think of representation, you can also think of an actor, somebody playing a role. And so they may be representing this character. So keep in mind all of the ways that representation apply. They all apply to masculine energy. So that's it. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on. Identifying as this energy is great for a short period of time, but it is not feasible to identify as strictly this energy completely. Especially when you have a brain and feelings and are a complete and total living, breathing being. Which brings me to feminine energy.
All the pretty girls walk like this.
Remember when I said masculine energy is brawn? Well, feminine energy is brains. It is the source from whence all energy emerges.
Who sent you?
You did.
It is the creator, the scientist.
And if someone comes off to you with an attitude, you say, eat me. And if you want to shine them on, it's hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la vista, baby.
It is not the symbol. This is not a tree. It is the spelling of the word tree.
This is a tree.
Feminine energy is what masculine energy represents. Like, you can think of feminine energy as the client to the masculine energy's lawyer. It is the value that is represented by masculine symbols. To exist is to be feminine, because the feminine is life itself. You don't have to perform femininity, because it's not a performance. It's the real deal.
Gotta listen to the way people talk. You don't say affirmative or some shit like that. You say no problemo.
And you can try to represent it to the world through words and art and whatever you want, but life is just life. It's gonna keep on keeping on because it's all there is. Everything is feminine, and the masculine is the attempt to make sense of it all. All right, let's look at and analyze some video clips.
When a man is viewing you as too masculine, you have to understand that independent nature, it creates a rigidness.
When a man is viewing you as too masculine. Remember what I said about everything being viewed through the lens of masculinity. It's putting masculine energy on a pedestal that is high above everyone else.
All right, it doesn't create a softness. All right, it's very difficult to be so independent and be able to successfully, consistently walk in your femininity.
This is not true at all. If anything, there's no such thing as not being in your feminine energy, because being alive means being in your feminine energy. Existing means being in your feminine energy. What he's talking about is outsourcing one's use of all tools to one person. So if you're a woman, you're supposed to listen to what he's saying and use a man to do everything that you need to get done.
Here are signs that you are a feminine man. Number one, you let people boss you around. You're a man that is okay with going to work, listening to a boss, being told what to do, saying yes sir, and not working on something on the side. It does not mean that you can't work a job or a job is bad, but you want to be your own boss. If you don't want to be your own boss, chances are you're very feminine.
Feminine energy is boss energy. So what he's saying is quite the opposite, but it's also funny that the way that he's saying it, it sounds like, ugh, feminine energy, ugh, gross. And I'll get into that later, but usually when somebody is pushing you towards a binary, either you're masculine or you're feminine, they're trying to put you into your robot mode, which is masculine mode. And it sounds like, if I didn't know any better, this would be the perfect opportunity to try and sell someone a course on how to start their own business. So it's kind of like, oh, you don't want to work for yourself? Well, you're feminine. Ugh, ugh, feminine, gross. If you want to be masculine, start your own business. I'll show you how. So that's a nice little grift to, again, get somebody in their robot energy and then start to control them from there.
Number two, you're very indecisive. When you're with your girl, you ask her where you guys should go. Women love decisive men. This is how things are gonna be. You come along, come look pretty. Number three.
This is how things are going to be. You come along, come look pretty. This is not something that all women like. Again, when you are in robot mode, when you are being steered toward this idea of binaries, where men are this way, women are this way, women like this, men like that, you are being programmed. And so this man is trying to program other men to believe that all women like being treated a certain way. And that's not how the reality works. That's not how reality works at all. If anything, all humans are different. Everybody likes different things. Some women would like that. Some women would not like that. And so you got to know what you're dealing with. But in order to know what you're dealing with, you have to have a sense of nuance. And nuance is not something that comes naturally to robots.
Number three, you are overly emotional. It is not alpha to scream and yell at women. It's not alpha to put your hands on a girl. Being a real man is a man that can control how he feels. Emotional men are very, very feminine. Stop being so overly emotional.
Again, this is him kind of using being feminine as a derogatory slur or something. Like, he's trying to make it seem like being feminine is bad, being emotional is bad. He's right about being able to control yourself, but that goes for people, that goes for human beings. That is a sign of intelligence, being able to control oneself. Being emotional, that comes naturally to humans.
This severe routine is getting old, okay? You're acting like such a geek. Smile once in a while. I know it.
You're great.
All right, let's look at another video.
Real femininity, what makes this woman a true woman. Want to look for women who are sweet and they're kind. Their tone is never going to be brash or abrasive. They speak politely. And they speak, it's like a breath of fresh air is in the room. Okay, being feminine and being uplifting, good energy spiritually. What you're going to see is a woman who has good energy spiritually. She's either well connected with God, or she believes that she should close herself off to a majority of men because she knows that it won't go anywhere. She believes in not sleeping around and not just dating around to gather experience, even though that's what the world tells them.
Okay. So being feminine means being polite and demure and all that. And it also means being brash and loud and all of the things that this man is probably thinking is just awful and terrible. Being feminine, again, is just being real. That's it. That's literally all you have to do is exist to be in your feminine energy. Just exist. So all of the little qualities that this man is putting onto what it means to be feminine is literally just, again, we're seeing everything through a masculine lens. This is him saying, I like this, so that's feminine. I like that, so that's feminine. So ultimately, feminine is, again, just existing, just being a natural human being that makes mistakes, and that's loud, and that's quiet, and that's up, and that's down, and that's this way, and that's everywhere, and whatever, and nowhere. That's feminine energy. It's hard to describe, it's hard to contain. And this man is putting a little fence around it and saying, this is what feminine energy is. And it's all of the things, what do you know, that he likes. So that's the little prison that he's trying to create, or I'm sorry, the little fence, the little enclosure, the little box that he is trying to put feminine energy into. But again, feminine energy is everything outside of the box. It's what's in the box. It's the box. It's literally everything. Feminine energy is everything. And masculine energy is the attempt to define it and to make sense of it all.
I just wanted to get to know you. Can you touch a rainbow? Can you put the wind in your pocket? That is mango.
Oh, also, I cannot emphasize this enough. The idea of trying to make feminine less than masculine and make it worse than masculine and try and get men to separate themselves completely from identifying at all with anything feminine is the attempt to put everybody into their gender roles. And once people are tight and fit into that little prison of gender, then that means that everybody will be in their robot thinking. Because even if you believe yourself to be the most feminine of women, you are still performing femininity. Hopefully that made sense. The idea that we have of feminine energy is one where we try to shrink it. When it comes to these femininity coaches, they're teaching the performance of feminine. Feminine does not automatically mean small. It does not automatically mean quiet. It does not automatically mean dainty or soft or any of those things. That is the value that we assign to feminine. Try to think of feminine like sound itself. Sound? What the heck is that sound? Hold on.
A few moments later.
And this is a performance that is for the masculine, so that the masculine can be perceived as more powerful and more in control. Think about the bodyguard. The bodyguard wants to be in control of a situation because it doesn't want to be out of control. So that's its job. It's just to create a structured environment for the feminine. However, this can get out of hand. And one of the ways that we can see how this gets out of hand is that the feminine is very, very confined to a very specific way of being. So this whole idea of the feminine only being soft-spoken as opposed to the other side of things, which it can very much be, which is loud, is a way of us only seeing things through this very, very specific, small, and very controlled representation. Remember what I said? What representation is? That's masculine energy. So everything that we're learning about femininity from these people online is very performative. Because think about it. Feminine is not loud or quiet. It's just sound itself. The value that we assign to it, the symbol we assign to it, the category that we put it in, that's masculine. That's hot. The feminine is the thing itself. So being quiet and being loud are both feminine. Feminine is all of it. Like I said, it's hard to measure. It's everything. However, we have reduced it to something so small and controlled. And that's because we live in masculine world, man world, machine world. the world of the bodyguard. And so the feminine is reduced to something that does not measure or even represent the fullness of what it truly is.
Can you know the mighty ocean? Can you lasso a star from the sky? Can you say to a rainbow, hey, stop being a rainbow for a second? No, such is mango.
Everyone is both masculine and feminine. When you think of the masculine as the robot and your feminine as the human part of you, you can understand yourself to kind of be a cyborg. A cyborg is an organism, often a human, that has been augmented or modified by technological components, creating a hybrid of biological and non-biological elements. Basically, it just means that you're half robot, half human. However, if you are only identifying with one side of this mashup, you're probably identifying most as a robot. So there's a new Jordan Peterson video that seems to be making the rounds today. So let's apply my little formula to it.
Let's say you have a non-standard gender identity. Hey, what the hell are other people supposed to do about that? Like, what are the rules here?
Now what was it that I said about rules? When it comes to masculinity, following rules is very important. Oh yeah, that's right. But why? Because without these laws, according to the masculine mind, things would fall into chaos.
The simplest thing for me to do is go find someone else who's a hell of a lot less trouble and who's willing to abide by the social norms enough so that they don't present a mass of indeterminate confusion on immediate confrontation.
Sounds to me like Jordan Peterson sees the world like this. And not being able to identify each person and figure out which little thing on the scrolly bar that he's supposed to do is driving him crazy. Let's talk about binary code. Binary code is any code that uses just two symbols to represent information. Perhaps the most common use for binary code these days is with computers. Binary code is the way that most computers and computerized devices ultimately send, receive, and store information. Binary code is really convenient for machines because it means that there's not like a bunch of information that it has to choose from. There's only two symbols that it needs to be able to distinguish from each other, and those two symbols can be as very, very different. So much so that you can't get the two mixed up. It allows them to quickly assess a situation or quickly make a decision as opposed to having to sort through multiple symbols and lots of gray area. So it's easier to distinguish between black and white than it is to distinguish between multiple levels and shades of gray. So yeah, binary code has been the gold standard amongst computers. And one interesting thing that I'm not even going to get into with this video is I think it's called the quantum apocalypse and how things are changing when it comes to binary code. When it comes to binary code in general, it's important to understand that people who are in their computer mindset, they're in their machine mindset, and they want to be able to make quick decisions on the basis of symbols as opposed to actual nuanced gray area situations that are more realistic. Those people are going to be thinking in binaries. Everything is going to be a binary. There's always going to just be two options. And one of the best and easiest ways to be able to control a population is getting them to think in binaries because it puts them in their machine thinking. So if you can look at any situation and understand the nuance of that situation, you are going to be more in your human energy, and that is something that we should all be striving more towards. Humans tend to make more empathetic decisions. They are emotionally intelligent. Computers are not emotionally intelligent. And ultimately, you're going to live in a more humane society when people are choosing to be more in their human energy than in their robot energy. When you live in the land of symbols and computers and all of that, you're living in a land where people will create statuses out of those symbols. You'll have situations where money is always going to be chosen over humans, and money is always going to be chosen over nature. Money is always going to be chosen in general. Everything else falls by the wayside. So let's look at a few examples of how people speak in binaries and how binaries has become such a normal part of our everyday life that people are forgetting that it's turning them into robots.
There are only two types of women in this world, beneficial and destructive. Heaven and hell are very real places, and you will go to one of them after you die.
We're all either masculine or feminine 100%.
Most men are very logical. Most women are very emotional.
Welcome to the cable access televised debate between a giant douche and a turd sandwich.
So one thing happens when you divide things in two. Usually you are creating teams. And when you create teams, you create competition. And when competition happens, there ends up being a winner and a loser. And so as it stands, when things are considered more masculine, they are considered winners. They're considered predators. They're considered the good guys. They're considered what we should all aspire to. And when things are considered feminine, usually they are none of those, not considered any of those things. And so society's aspiring towards masculinity has created a devaluing of all things considered feminine. So while women are encouraged to be more feminine, they're also devalued in that femininity. Men are devalued if they are considered to do anything feminine. Now we have a problem with people identifying with either one of those energies because there's so much confusion about, one, what the energies are, and two, there is this weird, should I hate it? Should I love it? Is it bad? Is it good? That belongs to both energies.
If you see something and you don't want to be that because it's such a negative connotation towards it, you try to separate yourself from it so much that it made me homophobic. By the time I was through high school, like anybody that was gay, I was like, yo, get away from me.
Let's see, do I want to talk about the pros of robot thinking first, or do I want to talk about the cons? Let's talk about the cons first. When Black people said Black Lives Matter, a lot of people took it offensively and thought that this meant nobody else's lives matter, only Black Lives Matter. This taking things to the complete extreme in one direction or the other is a sign that somebody is very much in their masculine energy. They're very much in their programmable energy. It's always this extreme or that extreme. There's never any nuance. There's never anything in between because there's no understanding of nuance when you are in your machine thinking. Okay, so let's talk about the pros. One thing to remember is that nothing is all bad or all good. Just like being in one's robot energy can be bad, it can also be really good. Sometimes there is no gray area and you're going to need to make quick split-second decisions. And so if you are in your machine energy, that's the way that we're able to get things done. Just like words are symbols that help us to quickly communicate information to each other, that's what it means to actually read a symbol and there be no question about what was said or the specific perimeters of a situation. Whatever the case, symbols are really, really helpful to making things move very fast.
Men and women are differently and think differently, and women just tend to use more emotions and logic, whereas men generally use more logic and reason.
In religion, what is the population of men in power perpetuating religion versus women in power and perpetuating religion?
Oh, I'm sure the men have more power. That's the way things go. When I first learned that atheists are mostly male, that's when I came up with this.
Did you use any other kind of analysis to come to this conclusion, or was that basically the first thing you jumped to?
I use logic and reason to come up with this since I'm a male.
Got it.
This man contradicted himself so bad, but he can't see it because he can only see things through the lens of his robot logic. And the way that that point went over that man's head is the way that that point goes over a lot of people's heads, because when everything is filtered through a masculine lens, everything is pixelated and in black and white. The options are few. Men are this way, women are this way, and there's no in between. The performance of masculinity and femininity becomes more important than what it means to actually be masculine and feminine. The representation of the thing, the symbol of the thing, is elevated beyond the status of the thing itself. And the thing itself has no say whatsoever in how it's being represented or identified.
Religion, mostly like females, tend to use feelings and emotions. Oh, I'm sure the men have more power. That's the way things go. Oh, I'm sure the men have more power. That's the way things go.
So being a woman is kind of a special kind of hell at times, because you have to listen to people tell you things that shows that they are very much in their robot logic. And you're thinking in terms of nuance, but that nuance is just going to go over the heads completely of someone who may be in their masculine energy a lot of the time. And this is not to say that women aren't in their masculine energy. Women are in our masculine energy for sure. But like knowing that you are immediately put into a category because you're a woman. And the category is always one that's lesser than, it's quieter than, it's more devalued, it's more worthless. The jobs that you're going to do aren't going to be paid as much. The skills that you have are going to be just considered, it doesn't count because you have that skill and you're a woman. Your logic is going to be discounted. You are put into categories on the basis of you being a woman. And that is because women are the representation of feminine energy, but in us being that representation, we are still treated as tools, and tools that are supposed to perform what it means to be feminine as opposed to actually being allowed to be feminine. So woosah, woosah. So yeah. It's hard being a woman in masculine land, that's for sure. Even being a masculine woman, because at the end of the day, you're going to be put into a category, and that category is most likely not going to be one that's very flattering, and it's not going to be accurate. You know that feeling when you're completely misunderstood and it's so bad and it just keeps going and you're just like, after a while, okay, whatever. Or how about this? Like when you're outside and you're looking at the scenery, like you're maybe looking at the sky or something, and it's so beautiful that you decide that you want to just pull out your camera phone and take a picture. And then when you try and take a picture, the picture looks like super crappy and it looks nothing like the view that you're trying to take a picture of. Well, that's what's been happening to the feminine all along. It's hard to capture the true essence of what it is to be feminine, or the true meaning of what it is to be feminine, because it's such a vast and infinite and all-encompassing thing. It's nebulous. The feminine is hard to control. It's hard to measure. It's hard to put into a box. The feminine is goofy. It's embarrassing. It's sensitive. It's dangerous and filled with rage. It's the divine, the animal, the spiritual. It's literally everything. And it can really be difficult to represent everything.
Can you take the color blue out of the sky? Can you grab the mountains and put them in the pocket? Can you sit down at the table with a knife and fork and try to eat a rainbow? No, such as mango.
Just like the word energy is used as a kind of catch-all for things that you can't quite put your finger on, feminine energy is hard to describe, because if it exists, it's feminine. If anything exists, it's feminine. And if it can be used, it's masculine. And nearly everything is both. The idea that we have a masculinity is one that, of course, centers masculinity, but masculinity is the storytelling energy. If given the opportunity, of course, you are going to represent yourself as more than what you are. It's kind of like clergy. People who are religious leaders tend to, everything that comes out of their mouth is from God. No, you are a messenger. That is masculine energy. It's messenger energy. It's the storyteller energy. Mom says, if you don't do everything that I tell you to do, you're in trouble. Okay, yeah, mom may have said for you to tell everybody something, but it was probably not that.
My mom read the note. She said, let me tell you something. You tell her, mind her damn business before I come down there and I beat her ass. I said, okay, do you want me to say it like that? Or do you want me to take some stuff out? I said, well, my mom told me to tell you to mind your damn motherfucking business, bitch. Little stupid bitch. Little dumb teaching bitch. 2 + 2 not knowing what the it is, bitch.
Guess who mom energy is? Feminine energy. One is brains, one is brawn. And brawn is telling us it's also brains. It is not brains. Brains and brawn can work together, but right now we are all being run by brawn. It wants us to believe that it is anything more than just the muscle. Stopped in the middle of my video I'm horrible. Oh my god, I'm so horrible. Okay, hold on. There's a music video for the Michael Jackson song Liberian Girl, and it features what can only be described as a cluster of 80s celebrities. Throughout the video, Michael is nowhere to be found. It starts to become a mystery as to where he is or if he's wearing a disguise somewhere. At the end of the video, Michael comes down from the heavens on a crane, having been the one filming the video the entire time. It's kind of like a gag video, I guess. And the way that the video is shot is in a way where we know we're watching a music video. However, we're supposed to believe that all of these actors are really just waiting around and trying to figure out where their friend Michael is so they can all be in the real music video. We as the audience are supposed to believe Paula Abdul is rehearsing choreography with the dancers for this big video. We're supposed to believe Dan Aykroyd would ride onto the soundstage on his motorcycle and that Jasmine Guy is a bitch, I guess. They are all acting like they are being themselves and not acting, but they're still acting. It's still a performance. It's just kind of like a performance inside a performance inside a performance. When you think of masculine and feminine in levels, you understand that the closer you get to the real thing and not the performance, the closer you're getting to the feminine. This is why it's considered feminine to be vulnerable and open about one's feelings and emotions, because at the center of all of us, we're just big squishy babies.
This is a content little baby.
And anyway, it's all relative. This is not really these people. However, this is kind of them. You know what I mean? This is a representation of them, but it's still to some degree them. A little bit of them is in there. They are playing themselves, but they're also being themselves to some degree. And this is one of the reasons why this framework can feel so confusing, because it can be hard for some of us to understand where the performance begins and reality ends, or where reality begins and performance ends. Just try to understand that everything's relative. The more performative something is, the more masculine it is. The more symbols and stories and tools, and the more stories. The more masculine a place is. Okay, so here's the thing. The more masculine a thing is, the more performative it is. And the more symbols are glorified and stories are glorified. And the tool is elevated to a place so far beyond whatever it is it's supposed to be serving. When a society is more masculine, it's going to be more performative. Tools are going to be more of the focus of everything. Storytelling, symbols, those things are going to be elevated. And the purpose that the tool is serving in the first place is lost, like Michael Jackson was in his own music video. Life is kind of like that. Feminine energy is children, it's nature, it's the universe, it's the elderly, it's whatever's vulnerable, it's whatever's, just exists. However, right now, the performance of life or the imitation of life has been elevated above life itself. Long story short, everything is about looking the part these days.
Yo, fam, look at you.
Life
look at how you act.
Into this circuit.
Look at how you act. Look at how you act.
I'm a freaking monster. Put more on my back. Put all of it you got. I'll put all the weight from my kids, my family, my wife, put it all on me. I'll shield everybody's ass.
A man is only loved under the condition that he provides something.
Systems, which are tools of the people, are supposed to serve the people. It is not supposed to be the other way around. Tools are supposed to serve people. Leaders are tools of the people. Similar to how you can take a bus or a train or some kind of public transportation to get to where a destination that you want to go, just because the train conductor is leading you to your destination does not mean that they are in charge of you at the destination or that they've decided on your destination in the first place. They are equipped to lead you there, but that is still a servant position. That is still a tool position. There is too much power that we've been giving to tools, and that is the reason society is the way it is and people are confused about what it means to serve. And this is the reason why tools are not serving the people. People are now serving tools. There's supposed to be balance between these energies. People right now are serving money, they're serving systems, they're serving all kinds of things that are not beneficial to actual people. We have politicians who are serving corporations. Corporations are now considered people. All of this is connected to gender and gendered energy. All of this is connected. Racism is connected as well. The mechanization of human beings. There are so many examples that can be given from the Industrial Revolution, from slavery, feudalism, all the way up to this point where people were turned into machines. People were activated in their mechanical energy and therefore not in positions to be able to lead their own lives and think for themselves, but instead had a system thinking for them, a system using them like machines, and the system itself is also a machine. It's all connected. Everything's connected, and masculinity is a big part of it all. One thing to remember is that people who are benefiting the most from the majority of us all being encouraged to be in our mechanical energy are the people who are very much fully in their feminine. These are people who are able to express themselves in whatever way they want to express themselves. They're able to be as emotional as they want to be, passionate as they want to be, rest as much as they'd like, and they are the ones that are enjoying a life that would be considered just being able to exist as opposed to do anything. When I mention breathing, you don't think just about the part where you inhale. You don't just think about the part where you exhale. Usually you think about both, because that's what breathing is. Breathing is both. It's a balance of both. It's the same thing with masculine and feminine. Both of those things embody the human experience. Your entire existence is not just masculine. Your entire existence is not just feminine. Being a human means that you embody both of those energies, all of those energies. It's about being logical, but understanding that logic can be traced right back to an emotion, because the emotion is the source of your logic. For example, if you get hungry, the logical thing for you to do would be to eat, because if you're hungry, the emotion that you're going to have because you're hungry is not going to be a good emotion.
Lay off me, I'm starving.
Recognizing all of the ways that your logic leads to your emotions means that you understand the connection between your masculine and your feminine. You're understanding that your logic may have flaws. It may be biased.
I use logic and reason to come up with this since I'm a male.
Instead of declaring oneself objective, you understand that your perspective might be different from another person's perspective, because emotions are the source of all logic, just like humans are the source of all machines.
Who sent you?
You did.
Knowing that at all times you are both masculine and feminine means that at all times you understand that you are a cyborg. And knowing that at all times you are a cyborg embodying both masculine and feminine energy means that you're going to value those energies and you're going to value yourself. It means that you don't look at another person and define them as a machine, or you don't look at yourself and define yourself as a machine. You're going to see the intricacies of all of the things that we all embody. We all embody multitudes. It means that you'll be able to walk and chew gum. It means that you'll understand that you can do both. It also means programming yourself and giving yourself more options on your little scrolly bar. And it will help you to recognize when other people don't have a lot of options on their scrolly bar, and that's why they're making the choices that they're making.
If you don't want to go to hell, subscribe to me and watch the video I have pinned in the comment.
In conclusion, it can be kind of confusing and annoying seeing people try to talk about feminine and masculine, and it's clear that they're talking about a performance of what those things are to them. However, I hope that with my little framework, I can introduce you to a new way of seeing both of those energies, because they're really, really interesting, and the more you learn about them and how to balance them, it can help you in all kinds of aspects of your life. If you want to learn more about this, go to my website. I do one-on-one consulting. I also have workshops that I give where I talk about this. Ultimately, I'm trying to help people to understand that gender is not what we think it is, and energy is not what we think it is. And there's so much more to this, and it's all really cool and all really interesting. But please, for the love of God, be a cyborg. Just, I don't know. It took me forever to make this video. Now I'm getting mad.